Hi, my name is Brandy Watson, and my group, consisting of me, Perla, Jessica, and Leonardo, are covering the Haymarket Riot of 1886 and the Homestead Strike of 1892. The Haymarket Riot of 1886 started on May 4th, and it was a rally held at Haymarket Square to protest the killing and wounding of several workers by the Chicago police at the McCormick strike the day before. There were around 2,000 workers and activists at the Haymarket riot, and at least 8 people died. It was supposed to be peaceful, but once cops became involved at the very end of the riot, an unknown subject threw a bomb at the police, and then many people died in the line of fire between activists and the cops. The Homestead Strike of 1892 involved steel workers from the Carnegie Steel Mill, and they were informed of a pay cut for hundreds of workers and decided to go on strike. The chief executive of the mill locked out the workers and hired the Pinkerton detectives. Workers and their families exchanged fire with the Pinkerton detectives upon their arrival into the town. Like I said before, the Haymarket riot started because policemen were trying to disperse the riot, and then once policemen got involved, one of the activists, and with an unknown name, threw a bomb at the police, and then this led some officers to firing their weapons into the crowd, injuring workers and activists. In the riot, 12 policemen and at least 1 civilian died. The Homestead Strike was between the Carnegie Steel Company and the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers. The chief executive of Carnegie Steel, Frick, announced pay cuts for workers. Frick refused to negotiate with the union and locked out the workers on June 29th. Frick built a high fence around the mill with barbed wire on top, and he hired the Pinkerton National Detective Agency to try to get in between them and the union. Some key players in the Haymarket riot were the Chicago police, workers from the McCormick factory, and activists including August Spies. On the other hand, some key players for the Homestead Strike were Frick, the Carnegie Steel Workers, their families, and the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. In the Haymarket riot, many of the workers were either people of color or people who had immigrated from out of the country, so management viewed them in a poor way, and they automatically, after that, assumed that anybody who was an immigrant was violent and just a bad person. Management also viewed in the Homestead Strike that they didn't really care about the workers' views. They just wanted a pay cut, and slashing wages and hours would be the best way to do that in their opinion, and they didn't want to even hear the workers' point of view or negotiate with them. During the Haymarket riot, the employees felt that they had been dealt with horribly by the police and their employer, so they just thought that they were getting even for the situation from the day before. They were protesting police brutality that occurred the day before, and the initial protest was to implement an 8-hour workday, but then it turned violent very quickly. For the Homestead Strike, employees wanted to keep their fair wages and work hours and were willing to fight for their labor rights. They just wanted to be seen by Frick and the Carnegie Steel Company because they have not been seen by them before, and they weren't willing to even negotiate or talk with them at the time. So during the Haymarket riot, the union that was involved was the Knights of Labor, and after this riot, their numbers decreased because of the violence that was involved between the policemen and the activists. It actually ended up making them disband, and many former members joined the less radical labor group, American Federation of Labor. In the Homestead Strike, the union that was involved with them was the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers Union. This union threatened to block any replacements from entering the mill in favor of keeping their fair wages and hours. The Haymarket riot created massive panic and hysteria in Chicago. It also increased anti-labor and anti-immigrant sentiment. This is because, like I said before, many people just viewed immigrants after this as bad people and very violent in general, and there's a whole wave of people that this one specific event impacted. And like I said before, the riot also caused the Knights of Labor to decline in members and later disband. those members then joined the American Federation of Labor. For the Homestead strike, the employees really weren't seen like they wanted to be. Carnegie ended up lowering wages and applied a 12-hour workday and cut hundreds of jobs. And this was after the military had to come in and disband all of the activists and rioters. And these are our references that we used in our research. Thank you very much.